The fixed signs have been hit right, left, and center by all sorts of challenging transit for the past few years, and Scorpio wasn't exempt from that. However, you'll be happy to know that April is quite the turning point in this episode of your life. The month starts right away on a vibrant new moon happening right on your 6th house. While the 6th house is one of the more tricky places of any given chart, it's also the place that represents your routinely work and sense of duty. So having such a new beginning in that area might suggest that you could be parting ways with an old job or position that hasn't been serving you much. The interesting bit about this first lunation is that it's ruled by Mars, who will conjoin Saturn in your 4th house shortly after. Now, much of the challenges mentioned in the intro to this horoscope are at Saturn's fault. For Scorpio specifically, this is a transit that might have shaken up your home life or perhaps even your relationship with your father, since Saturn often represents these kinds of fatherly figures. With the conjunction with Mars, whatever this situation has been working out to become will reach a breaking point. This might not be very pleasant at first, but sometimes you just have to rip off the band-aid and get on with life. The way to read this lunation in relationship to what's going on at home is to use it as fuel to help you grow faster and stronger. This transit is especially pivotal if you're around 28 to 30 years old, and if that's the case, be sure to set the time aside to digest the tougher bits of these transits. Like we said, this new moon really means new beginnings. However, the way they're delivered might suck at first. Be patient and keep your head high. Speaking of keeping your head high, it might not be so hard after all. As much as this transit can be the big bad boy of the month, there's more than enough good fortune to go around. This is even more specifically aimed towards the 28-year-old Scorpios, but if you're 40 or 52, you have just as much to rejoice over. All this good luck is attributed to the ingress of Venus into your 5th house. This is the place where the planet of love, luxury and beauty feels the most at home. On top of that, she'll later proceed to conjoin Jupiter, the world of good fortune himself, who is also in this house. The 5th house usually symbolizes children and anything related to it, including actions generative of children. This means this powerful combo is all about party and pleasure, and with the presence of Neptune also in that sign, you may even get a little tipsy every now and then. Lots of you might even start new romantic relationships at around this time. Though with the 5th house, romance is less serious, and instead, it's filled with that teenage lust for life. So take advantage of this transit, and have a good time, Scorpio. You may only really notice the influence of it later in the month, closer to the 27th, 30th mark, so when things get rough with Mars or Saturn, remember that Jupiter and Venus together will soon take the wheel. In between this push and pull between good and evil planets, we also have the full moon of the month happening in your 12th house. If you don't know what the 12th house is all about, this is the place of sorrows and loss. Especially since it comes right after the Saturn and Mars transit, this is a huge wake-up call that you need to sit with your feelings to process what you've lost regarding your home and family. Oftentimes we just want to push through challenging events like nothing's happened. Especially Scorpio, a sign that notoriously wants to keep a strong and intimidating pose to maintain the reputation akin to a tower's. Still, this transit says that brushing it off is not enough. With Venus as the ruler of the lunation, she imports her strength through the parties and joyful moments you might be experiencing this month. Still, it's important to be aware that even when our surroundings might seem joyous and flawless, we still have to tend to our inner emotional space as well. Otherwise, even when everyone is out there having a good time, you'll find yourself struggling to keep your emotions buried for long enough so that you can have some fun. This transit happens on the 16th, so mark it on your calendar and have a cry if you need to. It's healthy. Just remember that even though this month might have some moments of hurt, you'll have support stronger than ever to get you through a dark night of the soul. Ultimately, this full moon is here to help you get the weight off your shoulders so you can move forward.